Have you ever wondered why so many people blindly follow trends, opinions, or viral ideas without questioning them? Why logical thinking seems to be vanishing in our society? Today, we're diving into a phenomenon that's quietly shaping our world, the disappearance of critical thinking. What is critical thinking? Have you ever been faced with a problem or a decision and felt unsure about what to believe or do? That's where critical thinking comes in. But what exactly is critical thinking, and why is it more important than ever in today's world? Critical thinking is the ability to objectively analyze information, question assumptions, and reach well-reasoned conclusions. It's more than just being smart, it's a skill, a habit, and a mindset. It allows us to separate fact from opinion, recognize biases, and make decisions based on logic rather than emotion or social pressure. In essence, critical thinking is the art of thinking clearly, systematically, and independently. Core components. So what makes up critical thinking? There are several core components. Analysis, breaking information into parts to understand it better. Evaluation, assessing the credibility and relevance of information. Inference, drawing logical conclusions based on evidence. Reflection, examining your own thought process and biases. Open-mindedness, being willing to consider alternative viewpoints without prejudice. Mastering these components helps you avoid common pitfalls like jumping to conclusions or falling for misinformation. Why it matters? Critical thinking isn't just an academic skill, it's life-changing. It allows you to make better personal and professional decisions, avoid manipulation in media, politics, and advertising, solve complex problems effectively, communicate more clearly and persuasively, understand different perspectives and find common ground. Without critical thinking, we risk making decisions based on emotion, bias, or popular opinion, leading to mistakes, misunderstandings, and even societal problems. Common barriers. Despite its importance, many people struggle with critical thinking. Some common barriers include cognitive biases, mental shortcuts that distort reality. Confirmation bias, favoring information that supports your beliefs. Over-reliance on authority, accepting claims without questioning. Emotional reasoning, letting feelings override facts. Information overload, being overwhelmed by too much data. Recognizing these barriers is the first step toward thinking more critically and independently. How to improve critical thinking? The good news is critical thinking can be developed. Here are some strategies. Ask questions constantly, challenge assumptions and dig deeper. Analyze sources, check credibility, relevance, and accuracy. Reflect on your thinking, notice your biases and habits. Engage in discussions, expose yourself to diverse viewpoints. Practice problem solving, break problems into smaller parts and evaluate solutions logically. Critical thinking is like a muscle, the more you use it, the stronger it becomes. Critical thinking is more than a skill, it's a way of approaching life. By thinking critically, you gain clarity, independence, and confidence in your decisions. You stop being a passive consumer of information and become an active seeker of truth. How it's disappearing. Critical thinking, once considered essential for personal growth and societal progress, is slowly vanishing. But how did this happen? What's causing intelligent people to stop questioning, analyzing, and thinking for themselves? Influence of social media. One of the biggest culprits is social media. Platforms are designed to capture attention, not promote reflection. People scroll, react, and share instantly, often without reading the full story or verifying facts. This constant stream of bite-sized information trains our brains to prioritize speed over depth, emotion over reason, and likes over logic. Over time, this erodes our ability to analyze critically. Education system challenges. The way we're taught also contributes to the decline. Traditional education often emphasizes memorization and test performance instead of problem-solving and independent thought. Students learn to accept information as given rather than question it. They are rewarded for recalling answers, not for asking the right questions or thinking creatively. Herd mentality and social pressure. Humans are social creatures, and social pressure can discourage critical thinking. People tend to conform to group opinions to avoid conflict, rejection, or judgment. This herd mentality encourages surface-level thinking and punishes independent thought. When everyone around you accepts something without question, it becomes easier to do the same. Information overload. Another factor is information overload. We live in an age of endless news, articles, videos, and opinions. With so much information, it's tempting to skim, assume, or rely on summaries rather than think deeply. This constant bombardment creates mental shortcuts, making us less likely to evaluate evidence critically. Instead, we default to quick judgments and viral narratives. Emotional reasoning and biases. Emotions also play a huge role. People often make decisions based on feelings, not facts. Cognitive biases, like confirmation bias, reinforce what we already believe, making it harder to think critically. This emotional reasoning fuels misinformation, polarization, and poor decision-making, both individually and collectively. Critical thinking is disappearing because of a perfect storm: fast media, shallow education, social conformity, information overload, and emotional reasoning. The result is a society that reacts more than it reflects, follows more than it questions. The good news? Awareness is the first step. Recognizing these challenges allows us to slow down, question, and reclaim our ability to think critically. Have you ever noticed how misinformation spreads like wildfire, even among smart people? How entire groups can believe something that, on the surface, makes no sense at all. This is the rise of what some call collective stupidity. What is collective stupidity? Collective stupidity isn't just a lack of knowledge. It happens when a group of people stops thinking independently and starts relying on the herd. Decisions are made based on emotion, conformity, or social approval rather than facts and logic. When critical thinking disappears at the individual level, it multiplies in groups. Suddenly, bad ideas become accepted as normal, and misinformation spreads uncontrollably. How it manifests? We see collective stupidity in many areas of life. Viral misinformation on social media. Mass panic or hysteria over minor events. Poor political decisions fueled by groupthink. Workplace decisions where nobody questions the majority opinion. The pattern is always the same: independent thought is silenced, and the group's opinion dominates even if it's clearly flawed. The role of social media and technology. Social media accelerates this phenomenon. Algorithms reward content that provokes emotion, not reason. The more people react without thinking, the more visibility these posts get. Over time, misinformation spreads faster than facts. This digital environment creates echo chambers where dissenting voices are ignored or attacked, reinforcing collective ignorance. Why it's dangerous? Collective stupidity isn't just frustrating, it's dangerous. Societies that fail to think critically can make poor policy decisions, fall for propaganda, or ignore scientific evidence. Even small decisions, when multiplied across large groups, can have disastrous consequences. The more we rely on group consensus without questioning it, the more we risk repeating mistakes on a massive scale. How to resist it? The good news is that collective stupidity can be resisted. It starts with the individual: think critically, question the majority, and verify information before sharing it. Encourage discussions that challenge assumptions, seek diverse perspectives, and don't be afraid to disagree respectfully. Independent thinkers are the antidote to herd mentality. The rise of collective stupidity is a warning. It shows what happens when humans stop thinking for themselves and let emotion, conformity, and social pressure take over. By nurturing critical thinking and independent judgment, we can fight back both for ourselves and for society as a whole. Why it matters? You might understand what critical thinking is, and even see how it's disappearing, but why does it really matter? Why should you care about thinking critically in your daily life? Personal decision-making. Critical thinking matters because it directly impacts your decisions. Every day, you make choices, big and small, that shape your life. Without critical thinking, decisions are driven by impulse, habit, or social pressure. With critical thinking, you can evaluate your options, weigh risks and benefits, and make decisions that truly serve your long-term goals. Avoiding manipulation. In today's world, we're constantly bombarded with information, ads, news, social media posts, political messages. Without critical thinking, it's easy to be misled or manipulated. Critical thinking helps you question sources, spot misinformation, and recognize emotional or biased appeals. It's like a shield against manipulation and deception. Problem-solving and creativity. Critical thinking also fuels problem-solving and creativity. When you analyze situations objectively, break problems into smaller parts, and explore different perspectives, you discover solutions others might miss. It's the skill that allows innovators, leaders, and thinkers to approach challenges logically and come up with breakthroughs that change lives. Social awareness and relationships. Critical thinking doesn't just benefit you, it benefits your relationships and society. It helps you understand others' perspectives, communicate clearly, and make informed decisions that affect your community. By thinking critically, you become less reactive and more empathetic, which strengthens your connections and your ability to collaborate effectively. Long-term impact. Ultimately, critical thinking is the foundation of freedom and independence. It allows you to resist herd mentality, make informed choices, and live intentionally rather than blindly following trends or opinions. In a world of constant information and social pressure, your ability to think critically can be the difference between being manipulated and being empowered. Critical thinking matters because it shapes your life, protects your mind, and empowers your decisions. It's the skill that keeps you independent, informed, and capable of navigating an increasingly complex world. Start practicing today, question assumptions, evaluate information carefully, and think for yourself. Your future depends on it. Common barriers. We all know critical thinking is important, but why is it so hard for many people to practice? The truth is, there are common barriers that prevent us from thinking clearly, logically, and independently. Cognitive biases. One of the biggest barriers is cognitive bias. These are mental shortcuts our brains take to simplify decision-making. While useful at times, they can distort reality. For example, confirmation bias makes us favor information that supports our existing beliefs, ignoring evidence that contradicts them. This limits our ability to see the full picture and make rational decisions. Emotional reasoning. Emotions play a powerful role in our thinking. Emotional reasoning is when we let feelings, rather than facts, drive our decisions. Fear, anger, or excitement can cloud judgment, making us accept ideas without questioning them or reject valid information simply because it feels uncomfortable. Over-reliance on authority. Another barrier is over-reliance on authority. We tend to accept what experts, leaders, or influencers say without questioning it. While experts can provide valuable guidance, blindly following authority limits independent thought and can make us vulnerable to manipulation. Herd mentality and social pressure. Humans are social creatures, and we often conform to the opinions of the majority. Social pressure and the desire to belong can suppress critical thinking. Herd mentality encourages people to accept ideas without questioning, just to fit in or avoid conflict. Over time, this weakens our ability to think independently. Information overload. We live in an age of constant information. News, social media, ads, and messages bombard us daily. This overload can be overwhelming, making it difficult to focus and analyze critically. When faced with too much information, the mind takes shortcuts, skimming, guessing, or relying on the first thing we see. This reduces our capacity for careful reasoning. Cognitive biases, emotional reasoning, authority dependence, herd mentality, and information overload are all common barriers to critical thinking. Recognizing them is the first step toward overcoming them. By becoming aware of these obstacles, we can slow down, question more, and regain control over how we think, decide, and act. Critical thinking may be disappearing, but it's not too late to fight back. The question is, how can you reclaim the ability to think clearly, independently, and logically in a world that encourages the opposite? Question everything. The first step is to question everything. Don't accept information at face value, whether it comes from the news, social media, or even people you trust. Ask yourself, is this true? What evidence supports it? Could there be another perspective? By making questioning a habit, you train your mind to evaluate information critically rather than blindly accepting it. Analyze and verify. Next, analyze and verify. Check the credibility of sources and cross-reference information. Look for evidence rather than opinions. The more you verify facts, the harder it becomes for misinformation to influence your thinking. Remember, a single headline or viral post is rarely the full story. Reflect on your thinking. Critical thinking also requires self-reflection. Examine your own beliefs and biases. Ask yourself why you think what you think, and be willing to challenge your assumptions. Reflection prevents you from falling into cognitive traps and strengthens your ability to make independent decisions. Seek diverse perspectives. Expose yourself to diverse viewpoints. Engage in conversations with people who think differently, read articles or books that challenge your ideas, and don't isolate yourself in an echo chamber. Diversity of thought expands your understanding and helps you avoid groupthink and herd mentality. Practice problem solving. Finally, practice problem solving. Break problems into smaller parts, evaluate options logically, and anticipate consequences. The more you practice thinking systematically, the sharper your critical thinking skills become. Critical thinking is a skill that strengthens with consistent practice. It's like exercising a mental muscle. Fighting back against the decline of critical thinking starts with small, daily actions. Question everything, verify information, reflect on your own thinking, seek diverse perspectives, and practice problem solving. By taking these steps, you reclaim your ability to think independently, resist manipulation, and make better decisions in every aspect of life. The disappearance of critical thinking is a warning sign, but you can choose to resist it. Be curious. Question everything. And most importantly, think for yourself. If you found this video insightful, hit the like button, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs a reminder to think critically today.